The Atlanta Braves lost the series opener to the New York Mets 13-5, and it would have been worse if not for the clutch pitching of Luke Williams. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day, good or bad. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. He is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. Lots of great stuff has been coming from Jake just this week, talking about minor leaguers and the series that was and all of that. But Jake, we're here to talk about Atlanta 13-5 loss to the New York Mets. And this game had everything. 13 runs scored with 2 outs. Just 6 home runs. Pete Alonso set a record. You had some bad base running. You had everything. And I think the biggest conversation point here is going to be Spencer Strider, right? He has one of the more disappointing, I guess, starts of his season coming back from injury. 4 innings, 8 runs on 8 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, gives up the 3 homers. And I know at least the first 2, I haven't gone back and looked at the third, at least the first 2 are pretty poor locations on fastballs, just grooved middle. I think the Nimmo homer was a slider down, but the first 2 homers are just grooved fastballs right down the middle. What's the panic level right now about Spencer Strider?
I'm not panicked. I think at this point, though, it does kind of feel like let's just get Strider to the offseason and let him have a normal offseason and hope that he comes back into spring training with that velo back. But it has been, there seems like this up and down progression so far with Spencer Strider coming back. First couple starts coming back, a little bit rusty, kind of shaking the rust off. Plus, remember, he came back and then missed a month with another injury and then came back again and was kind of a little bit rusty coming back and then really kind of peaked. He had like a month stretch there where he looked really, really good, even with the diminished velocity. But now we're looking at a 3-4 start stretch again where it's just been awful. I mean, the past 2 starts are 2 of his worst starts ever. I mean, they gave up a career high 11 hits to Milwaukee his last time out and then matches a career high, allowing 8 runs in this one. So back-to-back, 2 of his worst starts ever. So that is a little concerning. But I think for me, with where I'm at Spencer Strider right now, it's just let him continue to throw and kind of get back into things. But I'm really looking forward to a normal Spencer Strider offseason, hopefully gearing up for a healthier 2026. Look, we obviously get into it. I know you got the great stat about the middle pitches there. That's a good pull from you, but we all see it. I mean, the mislocation is absolutely killing him. And you can't miss middle with 95, 96. You can get away with it with 98, 99, but you can't with 95, 96 miles per hour. And that is just what's absolutely killing him right now.
Yeah. I mean, and I put this on social media after the second home run because both of those were middle fastballs. In 2022, he was averaging 98 miles an hour on his fastballs that he threw down the middle. 6% of all of his pitches were fastballs down the middle, 302 average, 512 slug. That doesn't sound great, but hitters had a negative run value per 100 pitches on those because they hit everybody else's so much harder. 2023, more the same, 97 mile an hour average velocity, 345 average, 709 slug. Still a negative run value compared to everybody else. 2025, he's averaging 95 on pitches down the middle. And not counting tonight, it's a 542 average and an 875 slug. It's absolutely terrible. Here's the thing. He's throwing less pitches down the middle than in previous seasons. He's at 4.7% compared to 6% in previous years. But he's just getting much worse results because the velocity is not there. And I'd argue a little bit there's no context to this as far as when it's happening in at bats and who it's happening to and all of that. But I kind of agree with you that I think the panic that Spencer Strider is now a bum for the rest of his career is a little bit early. Yeah. A lot of people, I've seen it on social media, a little bit in our chat. The thought process is this is who he is going forward. And I do think that there is room for him, like you said, to have a healthy offseason, to regain some more of that velocity, to get a little more consistent with the locations. Because to your point, he's had really good seasons where he threw more balls down the middle than he is this year. And I don't think you move him to the bullpen. I don't think you just accept this is who he is. And you saw tonight, he tried to diversify his mix a little bit more. It felt like the slider wasn't really there. I don't know if that's what it felt like to you. He threw 25 of them, like 30% usage. He got 4 whiffs and 12 swings, but 6 put into play. Just didn't really feel like he had the slider, right? He had a slider, but not that slider. So he threw 9 curveballs. He threw 7 changeups, but ultimately just you give up 3 home runs, you can only do so much to keep your line under control. And that's just what happened tonight.
Yeah. And really that first inning where he gave up the 3 runs too, I know all the runs were 2 outs, but you take it back to the beginning and
every run was 2 outs tonight. Every run. Sorry.
But you had it in that moment. I mean, it was a 3-2 pitch to Cedric Mullins and he just puts the ball in play, weakly hit. It's a run. And then the next batter, bombs him for a 2-run homer. And next thing you know, you've allowed a 3 spot. And I know you can make that excuse all night long that every pitcher was just one pitch from getting out of an inning and they just couldn't do it. But it just felt like with where Strider is right now, things just really spiraled after that. But look, it's not like the stuff isn't good. Like maybe the IVB, the inducer rate isn't quite there with the fastball without that velocity, but it's still 95, 96, well located with a really good slider, can still be a good pitch. Now he might have to a good pitch mix. He still might have to add another pitch. And that may be what we see in the offseason is why I'm kind of excited. I'm not going to say it, Lindsay. I see your face. I'm not going to say it, but that's maybe why you have an offseason where you do try to maybe refine the curveball or the changeup. Maybe you add the cutter. But that's why I can't give up on Spencer Strider because it's 1 year back from not pitching all the previous season and having major surgery. Sometimes it just takes a little while. And we've seen him be good this year. Yeah. And so it could just be a matter of him tiring a little bit here at the end after not pitching at all last year. So certainly not giving up on Spencer Strider. I still think he has the ability and the mentality to be a really good pitcher. I think he's going to figure it out. But right now he is certainly going through it.
And I do think the fatigue thing is a big part of this too, simply because he lost an entire season, right? He didn't have a normal offseason because he's rehabbing and everything. So he doesn't have the ability to do like a lot of pitchers do and build in capacity for workload through their physical fitness over the winter because he's rehabbing the arm and all of that. So I do think there is something to that as well. I still don't think even with that you shut him down, right? Like the issue now, you have it. And I saw somebody, and you mentioned this before we started recording, somebody told you that they should not have sent him back out there a little bit earlier. I think when it got to maybe 5-5. And I think the issue you have there is, Snit talked about this today. You're now running a 6-man bullpen. I'm sorry, a 6-man rotation. And so when you do that, you can't shorten a starter's outing significantly without throwing another starter in there to eat those innings. You still have to get 6 innings out of some combination of players, right? If your starter can only go 4, you've got to cover the 2 with the bullpen that's already shorthanded. So you can't pull him out. I think if they said pull him out when it was 5-5, you're asking to pull him out after 3, and you can't really do that.
Yeah, and even in that 4th inning, you got the first 2 guys out. I mean, you get a strikeout in that inning, and then you get a ground out. You do flip it over and go to the top of the order there and face Lindor, who puts down the bunt single. So again, like I said, with the inning before that, or whenever the 3-run inning was, you had Mullins with the kind of that weak 2-out hit to drive it a run, then you give a home run, and then you get 2 quick outs there in the 4th inning, and then Lindor lays down that bunt for a hit, and then things just kind of spiraled on him right then. So I mean, I understand not pulling him out, and he is your guy right now in a rotation that is really banged up.
Doesn't have anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of really hope that he can shut things down after your team ties it up. He just wasn't able to do it.
Yep. All right. In just a second, let's talk about the offense. Let's talk about the legend that is Vidal Brujan's plate discipline. I don't know where this came from. We'll do all of that next right here on the Braves Postcast. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, a burst pipe, right? The first plumber didn't answer. Did you wait? No, you just called the next one. And that's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. You don't need to juggle 2 phones to keep business and personal calls separate. OpenPhone can solve that instantly. OpenPhone's offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's openphone, PHONE.com/LockedOnMLB. If you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge, because OpenPhone's no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP shot, picking a out there division winner, or you're just ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. You can parlay the division winner dark horses. You can go ahead and, say, hey, I think Josh Allen's going to win MVP this year. Or I think the Chiefs are going to win another Super Bowl. Put your money where your mouth is on that day. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, from an offensive side, Atlanta scored 5 runs. It's the thing that we've been asking for the Braves to do. It felt like they didn't do it with homers. They hit 3 doubles. Nacho Alvarez got his first RBI. Matt Olson had two doubles there, but they also had opportunities to, I'm not going to say to tie it up, but they had opportunities to put more runs on the board. Nick Allen's double play kind of hurt a little bit, and it just felt like against a starter, and you sent me a text during the game, against a starter who is prone to walk a bunch of guys in Clay Holmes, that maybe they were a little too aggressive at trying to jump on pitches and do damage versus just making him throw you strikes.
Yeah, I mean, again, they still walked a ton against them, walked 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's, look, certainly they did all their damage in the first 4 innings, but it's also got to be deflating. You work to tie the game up like that, and then your pitcher just gives up a 3-run bomb immediately. Yeah. That's got to be somewhat deflating for the offense. Mm-hmm. And you look at it in the end of things, 5 runs, 8 hits, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, 1 too many that I would like to see there. Only 2 extra base hits, no home runs. 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Wouldn't mind seeing another hit or 2 there. But for the most part, I was proud of the offense in this one. I thought it was a continuation of what we saw over the weekend with some really good at-bats, continuing, to take your walks and coupling that with some hits. They just really didn't have the big flies to go with it to keep up with what the Mets were doing and hitting 6 of them.
Yeah. And
that really wasn't going to ever be an option. But I give them a lot of credit. You fall behind 5-1, and for most of the season, we're saying, okay, game's over. And it eventually was, but I mean, they fought back to tie it up. And I think you got to give the offense some credit there. And big shout out to Nacho. He's hot now, hitting 231. That's like the 2nd or 3rd best average on the team, I think. Don't fact check me on that. But I mean, he's starting to show some signs there. So that's good. Brujan doing some good things. Michael Harris, 2 more hits in this one. Profar, 2 more walks getting on base here. So certainly some good things from the offensive side in this game.
The Brujan thing is wild to me. He's 1 for 4 in his Braves career with 4 walks and 1 strikeout. I know it's 2 starts. It's an incredibly small sample size.
It's the Tim Hires effect, man. You come here and you just start walking.
It's the Tim Hires effect. There you go. It's the one time that it worked right away instead of taking half a season to go through. I do like being serious though. And you had this the other day when you did Jerks and Profar Swindle the Brave show. You had the point of he's actually been really good offensively at leadoff. He doesn't get a hit tonight. He's 0 for 3, but he draws 2 walks. He steals a base. He scores a run. Like, he's doing a lot of the stuff you want him to do. And tonight, even though you only scored 5 runs, you still scored 5 runs, and you haven't done that a ton this year, but it still makes me feel like there's not as much room to go to see a competitive offense in 2026 as there was 3 weeks ago or a month ago.
Yeah, certainly feeling much better. And again, it is still a small sample size. We're talking about a week stretch here, but the offense has looked much better, and they still don't have Ronald and Riley, who could be back, sometime this week too. So it'll be interesting to see with those 2 guys inserted in the offense, if everything else kind of stays the way that it is, and what this offense could really be. If the last 2 months, they're the offense that we thought they could be, and maybe the changes that Tim Hires has tried to implement actually start to take effect, and you start getting those walks along with some hits. That's been the issue all year. They've gotten their walks all season long. They just haven't gotten the hits with runners in scoring position. And if that one thing changes, then this offensive dynamic completely changes as well. And they are a top 10 offense again, if not more than that, especially if the home runs start to come too. So you can see a path. And I think just right now, you have to start looking at it individually too. Like I said, Profar been really good in that leadoff spot, like a 350 on base. That's getting there. Michael Harris looking really good. Olsen, continuing to do some good things. Ozzie every now and then kind of showing you a little bit. And like I said, Ozuna's been hot lately. The catchers, have been good. Certainly Baldwin, and then you insert Acuna and Riley into that. I mean, you can see a path where this offense is good. Shouldn't mean you shouldn't still look for upgrades in the offseason, but you can start to see what you hoped it was going to look like.
There you go. And it's possible, we got the report from before the game, it's possible Ronald Acuna Jr. is activated for game 2 or 3. He's in New York with the team. Riley's probably towards the end of the road trip. They're in Cleveland next week, or I guess over the weekend, but you could have Ronald back tomorrow. It's David Peterson, the lefty, versus Carlos Carrasco. Same time, 7:10. Hopefully not the same result, but we'll be here either way to break down tomorrow's game. But for tonight, a 13-5 win. I've never seen a game where all 13 runs were scored with 2 out. I've never seen that in all of my time watching baseball. But again, we'll be back tomorrow to break the whole thing down. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, all those places you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Falcons have a preseason game this weekend, so Locked On Atlanta, Sports Atlanta is going to be all over that. Jake's got tons of Braves content coming this week. Obviously, we'll be here for the postcast for both Mets and Guardians all through the weekend. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.